Greetings to all. In this video, we are going to understand about post-colonial criticism. Contents: 1. Introduction to key concepts of post-colonial criticism. 2.1 Colonial legacy and power dynamics. 2.2 Hybridity and creolization. 2.3 Subaltern studies. 2.4 Resistance and decolonization. 2.5 Orientalism. 2.6 Neo-colonialism. 3 Applications of post-colonial criticism. 3.1 Literary analysis. 3.2 Film studies. 3.3 Historiography and cultural studies. 3.4 Globalization and diaspora studies. 4 Critics of post-colonial criticism. 4.1 Homogenization of post-colonial experience. 4.2 Essentialism and identity politics. 4.3 Egocentrism in theory. 5 Conclusion. Introduction. Post-colonial criticism is a theoretical framework that emerged in the later half of the 20th century, primarily in response to the decolonization movements and the dismantling of European empires. It seeks to analyze and understand the impact of colonialism on societies, cultures, and literature, examining the ways in which power structures, identities, and narratives have been shaped by colonial encounters. Post-colonial critics engage with texts from former colonized regions, exploring themes of resistance, identity, representation, and the ongoing effects of social history. Key concepts of post-colonial criticism: colonial legacy and power dynamics. Post-colonial criticism recognizes that the effects of colonialism extend beyond the period of direct rule. It examines how power dynamics established during colonial rule continue to shape social, political, and cultural structures in post-colonial societies. Hybridity and creolization. Post-colonial scholars often explore the concepts of hybridity, emphasizing the blending and mixing of cultures that occurs in the contact zone between colonizers and the colonized. This leads to the creation of new hybrid identity and cultural forms. Creolization, a related concept, refers to the process of cultural fusion and syncretism that occurs in colonial and post-colonial contexts. Subaltern studies. The term subaltern refers to marginalized and oppressed groups in society. Post-colonial critics, influenced by the work of Antonio Gramsci, examined the voices and experiences of subaltern groups that were often silenced or ignored in colonial narratives. Resistance and decolonization. Post-colonial criticism explores the ways in which colonized peoples resisted and contested colonial rule. Texts are analyzed for their representations of resistance movements anti-colonial struggles and efforts to reclaim cultural identities. Orientalism, the term was coined by Edward Said. The term Orientalism refers to the Western construction of the East as a mysterious and exotic other. Postcolonial critics examine how stereotypes, prejudice, and misrepresentations in literature contribute to the perpetuation of colonial power and power structures. Neo-colonialism. Postcolonialism extends its analysis to the contemporary world, investigating how neo-colonial economic and political relations perpetuate forms of exploitation and inequality in post-colonial nations. Applications of post-colonial criticism, literary analysis. Postcolonial criticism is applied to literary texts from former colonies, analyzing how authors engage with the legacies of colonialism, negotiate cultural identities, and challenge dominant narratives. Works by authors such as TNOU, Salman Rushdie, and Nihuhiwa Diango are often subjects of post-colonial analysis. Film studies. Post-colonial critics examine how films portray colonial histories and contribute to the construction of cultural identities. Issues of representation, stereotyping, and the gaze are central to post-colonial analysis of cinema. Historiography and cultural studies. Post-colonial criticism engage with historiography, questioning dominant historical narratives and offering alternative perspectives. It also contributes to cultural studies by exploring the impact of colonialism on language, art, music, and other cultural forms. Globalization and diaspora studies. Post-colonialism intersects with the discussions on globalization, migration, and diaspora. Scholars analyze the experiences of individuals and communities displaced by colonial and post-colonial processes, exploring issues of identity, displacement, and cultural negotiation. Critics of post-colonial criticism. Homogenization of post-colonial experience. Some critics argue that post-colonial theory tends to homogenize the experiences of diverse post-colonial societies, overlooking internal differences and complexities within these regions. Essentialism and identity politics. Post-colonial critics have been criticized for essentializing cultural identities and perpetuating identity politics, potentially reinforcing stereotypes and limiting the fluidity of identity formation. Eurocentrism in theory. Critics argue that certain post-colonial theories are Eurocentric in nature, relying heavily on Western intellectual frameworks. This has led to calls for more inclusive and diverse perspectives within post-colonial scholarship. Conclusion. Postcolonial criticism has significantly reshaped the landscape of literary and cultural studies, offering a lens through which to critically examine the complex legacies of colonialism. By centering marginalized voices, challenging dominant narratives, and exploring the ongoing impact of colonial histories, postcolonial criticism continues to be a vital and evolving framework in the study of literature and culture. Thank you for watching this video.